and welcome. Across Cameroon, it's about 17 minutes after 6 p.m. And on Canal International, it is time for the news in English. Right ahead, our lead stories.
Commodity giant Glencore slammed $311 million by a UK court over Africa bribery scandal. Critics say African governments have remained mute rather than bringing the culprit to book. And Makossa star Jackie Cliquez resurfaces with a third album titled The Voice. Jackie Cliquez sings love, religion, and injustices in the society. The Makossa singer is now known as The Voice. This is the 6:15 news with anchorman Tharike Divine Ramsey Jr.
Canal International. Canal International.
Now, as you heard in one of our lead stories, $311 million should sound astronomical even for bankers. And that's the amount of money Glencore has been ordered to pay as fines by a court in the United Kingdom for bribing officials across Africa in bids to gain access to the continent's oil reserves. And despite repeated denials, it has been revealed that some people in Cameroon received some of that money flown into the continent via private jets. Ambo Gladys.
The amount is $311 million. The penalty slammed on the commodities giant Glencore by a UK court after pleading guilty to paying multiple bribes to African governments to secure access to oil shipments.
It is a step to fight against corruption, but it is terrible that this is only happening in foreign countries. Nothing is actually going on in African countries to actually fight against corruption in our countries. You know, it would have been good if Cameroon, for instance, could take judiciary actions against companies involved.
It would have been good, though, that Glencore should mention the names of those persons in the different countries to whom money was paid. I think if other countries and other companies were doing the same, corruption will reduce on the continent.
The $311 million penalty include a fine, legal cost, and confiscation of profits the company made from the bribes. Experts say this should provoke the Cameroon government, for example, to react and bring corporates to book.
It should provoke the government to actually take an action, judiciary action. Glencore accepted that they have given a lot of billions to Cameroon officials, be it SNH, Sonara, and so on.
The UK government's Serious Fraud Office had found that the oil bribes were paid to state-owned oil companies and government ministries in Nigeria, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Equatorial Guinea, and South Sudan. Private jets were reportedly used to fly the bribes.
Now, the Worldwide Fund for Nature is warning that countries of the Congo Basin must take urgent action to check rising threats on the forest belt. It says the increasingly destructive activities of humans in the region could, in the next coming years, render life unlivable. Hyacinth Chia.
The 2022 Living Planet report on the Congo Basin reveals that the largest tropical rainforest is under serious threats imposed by the activities of man.
Globally, we estimate that 10 million of forest cover is lost every year. And in the Congo Basin, it's 1 million hectares a year. It might seem lower than the average, but it's still very important in our context.
Presenting the report this November 3rd in Yaoundé, the Worldwide Fund for Nature warns that all stakeholders must engage into the fight to rescue the rich environment, which is a paramount element of human existence.
Well, we are expecting the collaboration of all individuals. It's not only a matter of conservation NGOs. It's not a matter of government only, but each person in the Congo Basin should change its way of behaving.
The destruction of nature increases vulnerability to pandemics while placing the most vulnerable at the greatest risk. Time for the member states to act as a matter of urgency.
Now, you may find them grilled, dried, or even in hair oils. But one fact remains undisputable. Mushrooms are gaining significant popularity across Cameroon. And in the West region, a farmer is using new technologies to cultivate the delicacy. Stephanie Chin now leads us to his discovery.
The cultivation of edible mushrooms has long been developed in the west region of Cameroon. Farmers in Bafoussam are trying to diversify outlets for the mushrooms they grow on agricultural waste, which are grilled, dried, or used as hair oil. Cameroonians are particularly fond of it, but have to wait for the rainy season to collect it in the wild. In Bafoussam, the country's third largest city, Jean-Claude has discovered a seam. Thousands of oyster mushrooms are growing in a dark corner of his common initiative group Gic Champignon, which was launched with partners 4 years ago in Bafoussam. It's grown mostly organically, so we don't use a lot of chemicals for this crop. It's not only organic, but it's also of very good quality, and it's recommended for everybody, young, old, children, everybody, sportsmen, everybody. Daily harvest packed in bags headed for the Gic shop towards the center of Bafoussam, a sales point for many people. There, a kilo is sold for 2,000 francs, while it costs up to 3,500 in Yaoundé, the political capital, and Douala, the economic capital. Mushrooms, a delicacy rich in protein and consumed by many people. I must admit that I am very happy eating mushrooms in all forms. We make it into broth, we roast it, we make mushroom kebabs, and I'm happy with that. According to mushroom farmers, the Common Initiative Group produces 300 to 400 kilograms of mushrooms, 80% of which are sold directly to consumers, and the rest transformed into body or hair oils, soap, juice, and even a liquor.
Now, there is little gainsaying the fact that President Paul Biya is a big fan of the national football team, the Indomitable Lions. Over the years, he has personally celebrated the exploits of the squad, as well as referenced them several times in his addresses to the nation. On our special package in the lead-up to the commemoration of his 40th year in office this weekend, Hyacinth Chia now explores the relationship between Paul Biya and the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon.
The success story between the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon and President Paul Biya started barely 2 years after his ascension to the helm of the state. The Lions, champions of Africa in 1984 and 1988, and the Roger Milla Golden Generation, breaking the African records at the Italian 1990 World Cup by reaching the quarterfinals of the Jamboree and defeating world champions Argentina in their opening game. A glorious moment for President Paul Biya, who was present at the tribune during the memorable encounter.
When Omambik scores the goal against Argentina, when we are leading 1-0, you see President Paul Biya in the stands being greeted by other presidents which were around. I think that is the most iconic image you can get of President Paul Biya in the stadium.
And the long-standing presidential promise of accommodation to each member of the 1990 squad came to pass in 2020, 30 years after the World Cup expedition, not forgetting his statement of hope to Albert Roger Milla, "Je vous verrai," after the 1994 Cup of Cameroon, a pledge accomplished in the year 2000 with his appointment as a roving ambassador. Celebrations with the Lions at the Unity Palace after the brilliant victories for the past 40 years could not go unnoticed. The 2 consecutive wins of the 2000 and 2002 editions of the African Nations Cup, led by Captain Rigobert Song-Bahanak, received by the head of state, and just like the excitement over the Lions' 5th title, clinched in Gabon in 2017, and the famous presidential joke with the boys of Hugo Bruce at the Unity Palace. Vous les avez mis dans la sauce.
Selfies. I still remember that you have a defender who had tinted his hair and was holding the president on his shoulder. So the myth that the president could not be joked about was broken by these players.
And in one of his outings, Paul Biya underlined that there is no minor sports, reason why all competitions organized in Cameroon have left remarkable memories. Celebrating his power anniversary at the eve of another major World Cup, Qatar 2022, Raymond Elume says Bia's eyes are definitely widely open for another surprise from the indomitable Lions.
More sports news coming up when we flip open our sports page at the tail end of this edition. Now, one of the success stories of the Biya regime could well be Cameroon's victory over Nigeria in the dispute over the resource-rich Bakassi Peninsula. Up next, Ines Ondo-Ambala says though rumbles of grumbles have occasionally emerged from the peninsula, especially amongst Nigerian communities, Bakassi remains firmly Cameroonian territory. A report.
Bakassi Peninsula in Zian Division of the southwest region of Cameroon is made up of 5 subdivisions, namely Isangele, Idiabato, Kombo Etindi, Bamuso, and Kombo Abedimo. With over 150,000 inhabitants, both Cameroonian and Nigerians are living peacefully in Bakassi, with fishing and petty trade being their mainstay. Here in the Bakassi Peninsula, many developmental projects are ongoing since 2008. Cameroon government, under the stewardship of the head of state, President Paul Biya, has been striving to improve on the living conditions of the local population of Bakassi. School, health centers, pipe-borne water and solar energy system are some visible projects carried out in this area. The Bakassi land dispute is today a past story.
Very appreciative to government for what is presently going on, because now you can see for yourself the light, which we are very sure to maintain it.
I'm grateful by receiving this light. Light is paramount to this country, because you know when there is light, darkness will disappear.
Our priority project is an environment. We have to protect our land so that they can be well secured.
Thanks to President Paul Biya, who prioritized dialogue in the Bakassi conflict resolution, the Bakassi squabble between Cameroon and Nigeria ended with the signing of the 2006 Green Tree Accords.
We have to promote our activities and make the whole world to know that the government is in good hand.
Peaceful conflict resolution of the Bakassi problem definitely gave Cameroon victory.
Now, the festive season is fast approaching, and if you're a fan of Makossa music, then there is something you might look forward to dancing to. Jackie Kinge has a new album dubbed The Voice V3 with themes centered around love, religion, and injustice. Stephanie Chin.
Another musical salvo for Jackie Kinge's fans as he releases his 3rd album titled The Voice V3. There are 14 tracks, with one demonstrating what we are going through in the society. Churches, our brothers and sisters, we do good to, and in return, they treat us badly. I equally denounce injustice. During a press conference in Douala, Jackie Kinge unveiled his album, already streaming on Boomplay. Some prominent Cameroonian musicians like Ndezi Yango accompanied Jackie Kinge. Today, Jackie Kinge is fully back, and I'm overwhelmed by the steps he's taking. When you have many projects at hand, normally there is always that particular one you won't let go of. With about 2 weeks spent in Cameroon, Jackie Kinge expresses the desire to release this new album to his fans who are still marveled by his last track.
Beautiful music coming up. as the end-of-year festivities begin to announce themselves. Now, the Cameroon Football Federation has announced it is appealing a decision reached by a court in Paris Thursday in its dispute with the French sportswear maker Lecoq Sportif. The Paris court ordered the maintenance of contractual relations between both parties until December 2023, a decision unfavorable to Fecafoot, which has signed up with One All Sports to furnish kits for the country's national selections, and especially the Indomitable Lions as they prepare their expedition to the World Cup in Qatar. Fecafoot argues Lecoq Sportif failed to respect the terms of a January 2020 contract and thus terminated the deal. We shall keep you posted as that story develops. Now let's move on to Qatar, where the clocks are ticking and ticking even faster to the kickoff of the 2022 edition of the World Cup. Among the qualified nations, preparations have kept on intensifying. Amongst them, of course, is Cameroon, where the Indomitable Lions are folding sleeves to tackle the Reggae Boys of Jamaica on the 9th of November in Yaoundé. Preparations with Stephanie Chin once again.
The Indomitable Lions of Cameroon take on the Reggae Boys of Jamaica in a friendly game on November 9 in Yaoundé. The friendly is part of the Lions' preparation ahead of Qatar World Cup. According to head coach Rigobert Song Bahanak, the Lions are currently undergoing intensive training in Yaoundé ahead of the encounter. I think it's been years since those at the local level had the opportunity to demonstrate their skills. I think it's good to give them the opportunity by allowing them face the Jamaican team. It's a good idea for the footballers and particularly for the local players to have a feel of the competition. After the game, Rigobert Song will come up with a list of 26 players for the World Cup tournament. The list of the 26 players is not out yet. We want to give the opportunity to local players to demonstrate their capabilities. Coach Rigobert Song expressed his ambition for victory earlier this week with all preparations geared towards the World Cup. We are not going there just for formality. Rather, we are going with the mind to represent Cameroon and to participate honorably. And why not to attain the objective like other countries who shall be present, which is to get to the finals. As Cameroon faces Jamaica come Wednesday, November 9, the last friendly match for the Indomitable Lions comes up on November 18 in Abu Dhabi against Panama.
Now, some good news for fans of rugby across the country as Cameroon's national women's rugby squad has recorded its first victory in the qualifiers for the upcoming Africa Championships in the discipline. Playing in Pool D, the Cameroonian ladies overpowered their Ivorian counterparts 8-0 in Yaoundé earlier today. They now top their group and are teeming with optimism. We now have a chance to listen to the reactions of the vice captain of the Cameroon women's rugby squad. She spoke to Hyacinth Chia in Yaoundé.
We are very happy. Cameroon is back and we are just getting started. We are just getting started. The Lions are back. The Lion is the king of the jungle and we have to maintain that. We are going to qualify for the Africa's Cup. It's a collective game. It's a game that there's a lot of communication. We communicate, we do collective, we do together, we encourage each other. We encourage each other. We put each other into confidence. Whether you do effort or not, we put you into confidence. That's the main thing in rugby.
And at about 37 minutes after the hour, that's 6 p.m. Cameroon time, 6:37 exactly, and to be very precise, that's where we drop the curtains on this edition of the News in English on Canal International. Have a great start to the weekend. More news at 1950 with Alain Ghislain Kanga. And right after me, Mark Chuamu comes live from Yaoundé with a debrief and a special reflection on sports in Cameroon. Thanks once again for the privilege of your company and see you Monday at the same time.